My father was an architect. He was he was a sort of uncompromising modernist architect who did a number of fairly prominent buildings in England and was very serious about the art of architecture. And I learned an enormous amount from him about what it is to be an artist. I mean, it wasn't easy for him. I mean, he struggled with everything, and plus architecture, it's not just yourself you're struggling with your client and politicians, whoever. I mean, it's an incredible kind of drama to get a large public building built. And so that was the kind of background of my family life. And and my mother had trained as an artist, so they were very, they held art in very high esteem. And I've kind of joked I suppose it's a joke, and I don't know how fair it is, that I and my brother and sister are probably the only three children who were sort of more or less coerced into becoming artists of some kind. I mean, my sister's a musician, my brother's a sculptor, and I'm a writer. And I think for us, rebellion would have been to become a lawyer or a banker or something like that. None of us rebelled. But and I've actually often wondered whether I would have become a writer if I hadn't had such a kind of strong dose of that. But I have, and this is my life, and so I'm getting on with it. But I also had to kind of navigate my own sort of way, and the whole question of modernism and abstraction and things like that were things that I don't know. I mean, he was a completely visual person. He wasn't that into literature, my father, and his taste as far as literature was concerned were pretty conventional. He liked thrillers, basically. And Raymond Carver he liked, but he really was fairly dogmatic about art. That it should be abstract and it should be very modern, and he hated postmodernism. I mean, that was the absolute enemy for him. And so I grew up in a climate where certain things were really, really fiercely believed in, and they were things to do with aesthetics. And so, becoming a writer, I had to sort of figure out, what I really felt about these things. And at a certain point, you just kind of adopt your parents' kind of, at least if you get on with them as I did, you adopt their sort of prejudices, and then you kind of discover that you don't necessarily feel that same way. But anyway, I don't really know what I feel is the long and short of it aesthetically about any of those issues. But I'm now sort of okay with not knowing what I think about postmodernism, modernism, any of it. I mean, in a way, I'm sort of beyond caring.